Alright, okay. Hello. So, this video is about conduits. Conduit network in North Wuling Exclusion Zone. But we're going to talk about plumbing in general. And then a conduit route up in North Wuling Exclusion Zone. I saw a handful of people on Reddit who were like, I didn't know you how to converge. And I'm like, that's crazy. And in like the Discord. So, I'll make a video for those who may not know how to do that, right? I've just been doing this for too long, so of course I know how to do all of it, right? So, I'm here to help. Let's cover some plumbing basics, okay?
I like the
First
change
thing,
of
there are two kinds of mineral beds that you can run into. You can run into low purity, and you can run into high purity, okay? So if you go to a mineral bed, or gas vent, it can be either. You'll see high purity, low purity, alright? So the difference is how much ore it can pull up. And how fast. How fast, I think, is a better way to say it. So this is pulling up one iridium ore. This low purity bed, or iridium vein, I should say, is pulling up one iridium ore every 6 seconds. Okay, so to calculate that in a minute, you multiply it, or you use 60. So you'll take 60 seconds and divide it by 6. So that's 10. So this is 10 iridium ore a minute. All right. On the high purity, it does it once every 3 seconds, so we can just double that, because it's 60 divided by 3, so it'll give you 20 a minute. So that's how you can know how much a bed will give you. So when someone says, oh, this mineral bed gives 30 a minute, they know because it's 20 a minute from the high purity, 10 a minute from the low purity, right? A good example is Ferium. This Ferium bed has 6 different high purities, giving 120 Ferium ore yield, and you can check this in your AIC report right here. The theoretical data, the theoretical yield is 120 a minute, right? Okay, so next thing, hydro mining rigs and gas extractors do not require electricity to run. So that's why you might see people like me. I only use the hydro mining rigs now because it's easier to put electricity to either one spot like here and have a pump, or to pull it from somewhere that it's already working at, right? And you can kind of work it into your like zipline network. So like down here, I managed to just work this into my zipline network instead of having to run power here and then put a whole bunch of stuff down, right? So that's one of the advantages of hydro mining rigs, but especially gas extractors. We do not need to run power to them. Next thing I want to talk about is pipe capacity and the speed. So pipes can move a fluid at 2 units a second. Okay, so if it can move 2 units a second, in 60 seconds, it can move 120 units. Okay, so we'll call that like 120 water a minute. All right, and we'll use water for an example here. Fluid pumps can move water at pulls up water once every second, so 60 a minute, 60 units of water a minute. Thus, into one pipe, you can fit 2 water pumps. Okay, I should have went to marker stone. I have a better example down there. But you can fit 2 water pumps worth of fluid into one pipe. Okay, because it can move 120 a minute. A conduit can also move that same amount. All right, so like this guy. This can also move that same amount. It doesn't say it right here. I forgot where it says it. You gonna tell me? It's not moving anything. Maybe this one will tell me. Well, okay, so I'll come to conduits or manifolds in a second. But pipes can move at 120, so they can hold either like 2 water pumps, or in the case of this mineral bed, if this, or actually not that, we can use this. This gas vent here has 20, 20, 20, 20, 420, so 80. So you only need one conduit to move all of this gas, all 4 of these, right? Because a conduit and a pipe can hold 120 units, can move 120 units a minute, right? This only produces 80 a minute. Thus, one pipe and one conduit can handle it, all right? Manifolds double that. Manifolds can move double that amount, right? But you're still constrained by pipes, so that's why they have 2 outlets and 2 inlets. That's why, right? So they can move 4 a second. So they can move, what is that, 4 pumps of water Yeah, they can move 4 pumps of water, right? So they can supply 8. Well, we're not using that, sorry. So they double that number. Okay, now convergers and splitters. A splitter will take however much fluid is coming in and split it equally to however many connected outputs there are. Alright, so for example, right here. Let's say I have 60 Inergen coming into this conduit outlet, right? This splitter will split 20 to the right in a minute, right? In a minute. We're talking about minutes here, so 60 a minute. 20 a minute Inergen will go to the right. 20 a minute will go forward. 20 a minute will go left, right? And these arrows are telling you where it's going, okay? That's how that works. A converger will converge however much you put into it. And it also must obey the rules of 120 a minute. So if you have this setup where there are 3 fluid pumps and you try to put them into one converger, it will not work. You're trying to move 180 water because each one is 60, right? 60 times 3 is 180 a minute. And the pipes and the conduits cannot handle that. Neither can the converger, okay? So convergers are adding it together, splitters are splitting it evenly amongst however much you have. So you also might have like 2. So for example, this is just 2. So this will split 60, 30 to the left, 30 to the right, right? While this one divides it by 3. Okay. Lastly, facilities use different amounts. So most facilities will use 1 unit of water or fluid every 2 seconds, like this, once every 2 seconds, right? So that's 30 a minute. 60 divided by 2 is 30 a minute. Since one pump supplies 60 a minute of water, one pump can supply 2 Forges of the Sky, for example. Where we run into something different is gas with activating. This needs from 6 to 30 to be activated, all right, permanently, to always be on. It needs at least 6. It can take a maximum of 30, all right? So that's the only time you'll kind of see this be a little bit different, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure I'm right on that. That also goes for sewage or any byproducts generated by all of our facilities so far will also obey the 30 a minute rule, okay? So, for example, down in Markerstone, actually, let's go to Markerstone. You will see something like this sometimes, where you can see someone converging 4 different buildings, sewage into one line. So this is 30 a minute. Remember, pipes can hold 120. This is making sewage once every 2 seconds or 30 a minute. So, oh, whoops. So 30 a minute plus 30. So this pipe has 60 a minute in it. Plus 30, this pipe has 90. Plus 30, this conduit and converger are carrying 120, right? So that's how that works. Okay, let's go up the North Wuling Exclusion Zone. That's your piping basics, all right? That's your piping base. We're going to use all that to make a conduit network here in North Wuling Exclusion Zone. So we're going to start here. So first thing about being up here. I have to scroll down, sorry. The first thing about being here is the north vents up here do not unlock until you do like the grout quest. I call it the rift sealing quest, but you'll know what it is, the grout sealing quest thing. That will be when you unlock these 2, okay? But I'm going to talk about them anyway because this is for after you've done that. So I'm going to give you a basic overview of what we're doing. What we want to do is get gas into our factory area efficiently. So down in Yinglung Pass, we want to get gas down here using as few conduits as possible to not eat up our protocol capacity, right? Then we want to set up the conduits for easy maintenance. Now we're going to talk about Xiragen here. I'm not talking about Inergen because Inergen is everywhere. It's easy to do. And then we're also going to try and future-proof this to some extent, of just making sure we have enough space, right? Okay. So, what we want to do is set up a kind of base camp first. So, I actually just chose here because it's next to the teleporter, and I got really tired of running over here to deal with pipes. I actually just did this like 10 minutes before I started this video. But I had the idea in my mind, okay? So, we set this up depending on your needs of your factory. So, for example, if you are using my Yinglung Pass update, you need 60 a minute Xiragen and 40 a minute. All right, so this one on the right is bringing in 60. One on the left is bringing in 40. And you might ask, Senna, how do you know that? Let's take a look, okay? So now the one on the left, I put it on the left because it's coming from the south. This one in the middle is coming from the northwest. This one on the right is coming from the northeast, okay? So I always try to line my stuff up with where it's coming from and where it's going, okay? So this south bed has 2 high purities. As we talked about, that's 40, 20 each, 20 a minute each, so that's 40. That's where I get my first 40 from, right? So that's its own conduit going in. Right here. That's why there's no converger, no splitter. Up here, this bed, or this gas vent, has another 2, so that's another 40. And this gas bed has just one of 20. So 20 plus 40 is 60, so I want to combine these two with the converger to make my 60. All right, now let me show you one thing about convergers. Convergers, the black arrow is what is the output. The I'm sorry, the black tip, so I guess the orange arrow technically is the output. The black arrows with the orange sides are the input. I think that's pretty obvious also from the arrows on the ground. Splitter is the reverse. The black edges, sides are the output. The like orangish thing is the input. But just look at the bottom and you can see that. All right. Now, this is how I did this then. Let's start down here at the south. I'll show you this. And then I'll show you the other 2 as well. Well, actually, for anyone who's moving fast, let me just show you this. This is the route I did. So one jump up from the south one. The northwest one comes right about here-ish. And then jumps one more time to make it to the Sentry Base. And from the northeast, I opted to go down because there's another teleport here, and I already had this set up actually just from the quest to here to here. Now what you can do is you can jump this one to the left once and then again and combine it with this guy and bring it down, but I prefer to bring them all 3 in separately so I can manage them. All right, so that's what I mean by like the easy maintenance, right? So if you have all 3 here, you can just combine them because we have free protocol space up here. You don't need to be giga efficient here in North Wuling Exclusion Zone. So let's take a look at this first one, and then we'll go look at the other ones. Okay, so this is a very simple set. I need to move this. I had extra stuff here, and this looks goofy, but I'll fix it later. So you just have a gas extractors, you converge into the inlet, and then you run it, right? So remember, you can grab a conduit tail. I call it the tail because I'm so used to the old stuff. But you can grab this and teleport with it. So make sure you do that, all right? It won't break. If it's going to break, it'll tell you something like this, right? Too long. It's too long. So if it doesn't tell you that warning, then you can jump with it, okay? Okay. So you have one here, a conduit inlet, right? Because you're taking in gas, and then you're gonna jump to the Sentry Base. And you'll place down your first conduit outlet. Boop, you'll place it down and connect. Alright? You don't need to worry about inlets yet. That'll be depending on how many you need to take into the base. For this middle one, we'll kind of go up north and follow it down. Alright? So let me go up here. This is another converge of 2 gas extractors. Let's take a look. Okay, so this is your converging of 2 gas extractors into a conduit inlet. This path, I go here. Okay, now you can't get here from this TP. You have to go to Sentry Base once again. But I'll show you what it looks like. Because I want to say it's actually pretty far. I think it's like 290. But that is up here in the corner. Run, little Rosine. Run. Oh, shit. Oh, I thought I fell off. Okay. So that's the basic setup, right? I used to have more here, but like I said, I changed it. So it's a very basic setup. You have a conduit outlet to an inlet. How far is this? Yeah, 274. So you can probably move it up a little bit more if you want to, but I just kept it there. And then you'll just jump it one more time back to Sentry Base. Oh, And by jumping, I mean you'll put down the outlet, right? And then you'll put an inlet. You'll grab the inlet's connection, come down to Sentry Base, right? And you'll just connect the middle one, right? This way you know the middle one is closest to up here. That's how you know where it's coming from, right? Now this last one, there's a couple jumps you got to make. I'll show you them though, 'cause it's not too bad. It's not too bad. Alright. And like I said, I had these set up from the quest. So this is just one, right? So just one guy. And he goes down to here. So we're going to jump to here first. And I just try to keep my conduits a little bit out of the way. I don't really like them being just in the middle of the road. You know, it looks kind of goofy. But base camp, there's a lot going on. So, you know, they got to be in the middle of the road. So then you just kind of put it here. You can put it wherever you want, actually. I think I have a little more space to work with, don't I? Yeah. I just liked it right here. So that's why I put it. Then you'll jump one more time to this area, because it doesn't actually reach all the way to base camp. I think there's a, like, 50-meter drop before you can get there. Alright, so this is just off to the side a little bit, right? Conduit outlet, conduit inlet. Just play this down somewhere. You don't have to do two spaces. I like having a little bit of space between my conduits because I like to look at the product move through. So you'll put on your outlet, put on your inlet, grab the connection, and jump back to Sentry Base, okay? Now that you're here in Sentry Base, you'll have the third conduit outlet down, and you'll connect, right? So, depending on what your factory needs is how many conduit inlets you'll need to take in, right? So if you're using, like, my original build of Yinglung Pass, I have it here. Scroll. Here, right? You need 100 Xiragen from North Wuling Exclusion Zone as one conduit, right? As one. I had all these. I should have taken these things down just to show you for this picture, but whatever. You don't need all this. But one conduit, all right? So you'd put down one conduit, and then, so we'll do something like this. So you have your 3 conduit outlets, you'll have your 1 conduit inlet. No, I'm not doing that, hold on. No, we're not gonna get something like that. Alright, line it up. You'll put down a pipe converger. Now, one thing about convergers and splitters, you see how the conduit inlet turns white when I put the connection to it, the output, but it turns, I guess, opaque or whatever. It's normal color when I don't have the output. That means you have a connection, okay? So remember that. Same for pipes. See how they turn? You probably never notice it because it's kind of intuitive, right? But that's how you'll know if it's working or not. All right, so then you just connect. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Bam. So that will be what you have. You'd grab this guy and then you jump down, right? Now, obviously, if you need all 3 coming in for some reason, then you'd have 1 conduit inlet for each outlet. And if you need to combine, make sure you're combining whatever the guide person tells you or however much you need. For example, in my updated Yinglung Pass, you need a 40, so just this guy, and then a 60, so the north one and the northwest and northeast combined, right? So you then take your conduit, you grab the connection, and you jump down into Yinglung, into Xiranflow Cloudseeder. Well, I'll get into that in a second. All right, and you'll have it somewhere. So what I advise you do is you don't put it directly in your factory, okay? Because that means if you ever need to change anything in your factory and you take that conduit down, you have to go out and go connect it again, and it's a pain in the ass. Instead, just have it off to the side somewhere where your conduit outlets are, right? This way, and if you need to get it, excuse me. You can have your conduit outlets outside of your factory so that if you do have to change your factory, you don't lose your conduit connection, right? You still have this, you just connect it back. So what you can do instead, however, is you can do something like this. You have the conduit outlet, you can place an inlet, and then you can connect it in you can have this. So this, let's say this is coming from up there at the North Wuling Exclusion Zone. You would connect it like this, right? And then you'd connect this Conduit Inlet to an outlet in your factory, right? This way, when you change your factory, all you have to do is walk over to this Conduit Inlet and connect it back to wherever it needs to go, right? That makes it easier to manage. So what we're looking at then is we're kind of utilizing the gas here in Yinglung Pass. We might do a little... Oops, sorry, I hit my mouse on accident. We might do a little bit of splitting and converging, but for the most part, the managing of the pipes of the conduits happens up in North Wuling Exclusion Zone, right? So, and once you have your gas here, though, since you're utilizing it, you will connect as your build needs, right? So this... One thing I would advise, I may say advise, one thing I did is, early on I was forgetting which ones were which. So I put pipe control ports back here with flow adjusters so I knew. So this one's about 6. It's not exactly 6 anymore. And then this one is 40, but I put 42, right? Just get close. And then this one is 60, right? So I can kind of keep track of how much is coming through and which one is which. And then you'll just connect as your build demands, right? So my, well, this is 70, but that's a whole other thing. That one needs to connect here, and this one needs to connect there. But what it might look like is something like this. Scroll all the way down, 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 down. Yeah, so something like this is what you might get. So, for example, this is the current setup I have. So, there's the 40 coming in, there's the 60 coming in, split to the left, so I send 30 over, and that becomes 77.5. This left conduit brings in, I think, like 7.5 or something from the factory, and this pipe is moving 77.5 a minute Xiragen, right? On the left. This pipe in the middle is moving 30 a minute Xiragen. My 20 a minute Inergen is over here just because I only have one connected. I only need 12, but whatever. Then we change perspective a little bit. 77.5 a minute Xiragen pipe comes in, goes to the left, goes to this, what I call a 2 conduit gas tank, right? There's 2 conduits connected to it. Then there's a 1 conduit gas tank. Now they're different colors because there's different color gas coming in. So this is a green 1 conduit gas tank. This is a blue 1 conduit gas tank because this one needs Inergen on the right for the blue one. The green one in the middle needs Xiragen, right? So that's what it would look like, something like that. Okay. I think this might have been a little longer than I expected, but I hope it was very informative. I hope it taught you something, and I hope you are able to get your conduit stuff right. One last thing. I'm so sorry. One last thing I wanted to show. No. Okay, no. I did want to talk about this one vent down here. I'm sorry. This vent down here. So we talked about high purity being 20 a minute and all that, and pipes can move 20 a minute, 120 a minute. Manifolds move 240 a minute, right? It doubles that. So this vent right here, we'll call these vents because that's what it says here, right? This is a gas vent. Has 6 of them at high purity, so that's 120. You do not need a manifold to move all this. You only need 1 conduit inlet, right? So if you're out here running around doing this, just be aware that almost never do you need to use a conduit manifold unless you're really just moving a certain amount of water, all right? Or like the sewage up to test area. So, okay, now I can say my outro. But I do hope that helped. I hope you can make your stuff now and it's not as confusing. And good luck.